Late 2022. Open TikTok, open Instagram. You go on YouTube, you can't escape it. The black dress, the deadpan stare, the dance. In a matter of weeks, Wednesday didn't just become a hit television show. It became a global, inescapable cultural virus. And at the center of it was a 20-year-old actress who had just secured the kind of overnight billion-dollar hyperfame that most people in Hollywood would sell their souls for. Jenna Ortega was everywhere. She was the face of Netflix, the undisputed queen of the new goth aesthetic. But there was a massive problem. The person who seemed to hate this highly profitable phenomenon the most was the one at the center of it all.
I think that sort of attention it could be a lot for anybody, and I don't think anybody should be ready or jumping at that. I just mentally that time was a very difficult, confusing, intimidating time, so it's nice to kind of be in a different position now.
This isn't just a story about an actor getting tired of a role. This is about a modern-day survival strategy. Because Jenna Ortega looked at the absolute peak of Hollywood television, looked at the billion-dollar machine building a shiny new cage around her, and decided to light a match. Today, we are breaking down why the biggest young star in the world had to actively, deliberately sabotage her own record-breaking hit just to survive it. Let's rewind. Before she was Wednesday Addams, Jenna Ortega was a working actor. And I mean working. Commercials, Disney Channel, the CW. She was grinding through the traditional Hollywood pipeline. She was incredibly talented, but she was entirely at the mercy of the system. You read the lines you are given, you hit your marks, and you smile for the press. That is the deal. But then comes the call from Tim Burton. The Addams Family IP. The backing of the biggest streaming service on the planet. This was the golden ticket. When the show dropped, the numbers were literally historic. We're talking over 1 billion hours viewed in the first month. Netflix didn't just have a hit. They had a money printing machine. They had merchandise, they had Halloween costumes, they had a built-in franchise for the next decade. And they had Jenna. Or at least, they thought they did. Because almost immediately, the trap snapped shut. Hollywood is an industry entirely built on pattern recognition. If you make the money doing one thing, they will violently force you to do that exact same thing until you stop making the money. Instantly, Jenna wasn't an actor with range anymore. She was the spooky girl. She was the deadpan, dark-humored, gothic teenager. The internet stripped away her humanity and turned her into an aesthetic, a trend. For most young actors, this is where they surrender. You take the millions of dollars, you do the dance, and you accept the typecast. It's a comfortable cage. But Jenna Ortega is dangerously smart. She knew that the Wednesday persona was a ticking clock. If she let the internet and Netflix define her entirely by this one character, her career as a serious, versatile artist would be dead on arrival. She would be playing variations of Wednesday Addams until she was 40. So, she initiated the sabotage. It started subtly in interviews. While most actors go on press tours and lavish praise on the writers and the network, Jenna started sounding exhausted. She started hinting that the process was incredibly difficult. She admitted that she would literally cross out dialogue she hated, refuse to say lines she thought were stupid, and force the writers to change the scenes on the spot. She said, "I don't think I've ever had to put my foot down on a set in the way that I had to on Wednesday." In the highly sanitized, corporate-controlled world of Netflix PR, this was unprecedented. You do not talk about the writers that way. You do not admit to hijacking a billion-dollar production. The backlash was instant. Hollywood insiders were furious. Veteran producers called her entitled, toxic, and a nightmare to work with. When the Hollywood writers' strike happened shortly after, writers literally held up picket signs mocking her. The industry was trying to put her back in her place. They were saying, "You are a product. Know your role." But here is the genius of what she did. It worked. By taking the heat, by actively destroying the narrative that she was just a lucky, compliant girl, happy to be on a hit show, she established dominance over the IP. She forced everyone to realize that Wednesday doesn't exist without Jenna Ortega. She didn't just want a bigger paycheck. She demanded an executive producer credit for season 2. She demanded total creative control. She broke the Netflix machine and rebuilt it with herself at the top. And she didn't stop there. Once she secured the power over her biggest hit, she had to destroy the goth girl typecast in the public eye. Look at her strategic moves immediately following the explosion of Wednesday. She didn't sign on to do more quirky teen shows. She took a role in Miller's Girl. If you haven't seen it, Miller's Girl is a deeply uncomfortable, highly controversial, and intensely sexualized psychological drama about a student and a teacher. It is the absolute polar opposite of a Netflix family-friendly hit. The internet completely lost its mind. People were outraged. They couldn't handle seeing Wednesday doing these things on screen. But that was the entire point. It was a violent, deliberate pivot. She was holding a megaphone to the audience and screaming, "I am an adult. I am an actor. I am not your gothic internet meme." It was the exact same psychological warfare Marilyn Monroe used when she purposefully shed her glamorous image to force people to look at her reality. Jenna followed that up by continuing her brutal run in the Scream franchise, cementing herself as a modern horror heavyweight, not just a spooky caricature. And when she reteamed with Tim Burton for Beetlejuice, she made sure she was playing a grounded, emotional core of the film, entirely distinct from the deadpan Wednesday persona. We are watching a masterclass in career survival. In the 1950s, the cage was a piece of paper signed by a studio executive. Today, the cage is the algorithm. It is viral TikTok sounds, endless IP franchising, and the terrifying weight of internet fanaticism. Jenna Ortega looked at the absolute pinnacle of that digital cage, stepped inside, took the $1 billion, and then blew the doors off from the inside. She alienated writers, she pissed off producers, she shocked her own fan base, and she actively turned on her biggest hit. She risked being labeled a diva, difficult, and ungrateful. But in doing so, she did the one thing almost no one in modern Hollywood manages to do. She escaped the algorithm. She proved she isn't just a product. She's the one pulling the strings. If you want to see how the original Hollywood rebel fought the system, check out this video on Marilyn Monroe's master plan to escape her fame.